I really like when we can take somebody who isn't necessarily a believer in automation and turn them into a champion for our program, where they're leading the effort and bringing new ideas forward. Hello, I'm Josh Fetzer, and I'm Director of Business Transformation and Automation COE Lead at Standard Insurance Company. Yeah, when I think of the most exciting transformational use cases from automation, I really like the use cases where things weren't possible beforehand and automation is what enabled it. And so if I think of one use case in particular that sticks out is when the pandemic hit in early 2020, our group insurance process required new customers to fill out a bunch of paper forms in order for us to do business with them. Well, when the pandemic hit, everybody was working from home all of a sudden, and this paper process was no longer viable. We were able to stand up a digital, non-paper process pretty easily for our new customers, but it was very time-consuming and time-intensive for our employees. They had to create this digital experience, they had to follow up on information, but they also then had to take that information and disseminate it out once it came back in. We were able to pretty quickly add some bots into that process, where the process not only got back to the amount of time that it took previously when we had the paper process, but today it's more efficient than what we had before, being a much better digital experience for our customers. Yeah, the best reaction that I've ever gotten from someone that automation helped is I really like when we can take somebody who isn't necessarily a believer in automation and turn them into a champion for our program, where they're leading the effort and bringing new ideas forward. One use case or one scenario that really remember and sticks with me is our contracts process in group insurance is critical to our business. That's our promise to our customers of the service that we're going to provide to them and their workforce. Well, our contract analyst, we had somebody who's been a contract analyst for 20 years, true subject matter expert. And they really believed that the work they were doing couldn't be written down so that a bot could do that for them. Well, if we fast forward a few months, that person was shocked at how much the bot is able to do for them now, so that they can focus on other more valuable things for their customers and other coworkers within the company. And whereas that person is leading the charge for automation in our contract space. Yeah, I think the insurance summit is really critical here at Forward, because a lot of us in the insurance space are facing the same problems. Those problems could be things that are brought on by competition, even competition with one another, or competition with our partners, being that most of us are in the business-to-business space. Or it could be things that are being brought on by new regulations from the different state regulatory departments. And so getting to hear from our partners and our peers and our competitors on how they're approaching these problems is critical. I know that when we work with our customers, one of the most important things or the most valuable things that we can do with new customers is we can show them a real life example, because they can start to relate that to things in their world. I think you can do that here pretty quickly in the conversations and stories that you're hearing from how other people have solved their problems and challenges. Yeah, so how can automation help in the current macro environment, high interest rates and the other challenges that we're facing? So I think there's the typical common answers. You're going to be able to help with your core metrics, productivity, speed, quality. You can even help with employee morale. One of the things that we've found, though, is in this environment, we've also seen a change in our employment strategy, where we've experienced turnover that maybe we hadn't experienced in the past. The next generation may not be as excited about working in the insurance space. And so we've been able to use automation to help with things like, increasing our speed to efficiency from a training standpoint, or helping with the volumes that we see during different times of the year to be able to staff up our bots, staff it up and down much more fluidly than you can with actually hiring people to that volume. I think that in the future, automation becomes less and less about RPA itself, and it becomes more about the things that enable RPA. And so you think of things that are going to enable new use cases. You have things like intelligent document extraction. That's going to enable you to automate things that you couldn't in the past. You've also got things like process intelligence and mining capabilities that are going to enable you to find use cases that you weren't going to get historically by people self-identifying or through interviews, that are going to help you build your pipeline in ways that you couldn't build in the past. I also think that citizen developer is critical. Citizen developer is going to enable you to do use cases that might not have met your cost hurdle in the past, but now they're going to be things that those teams can prioritize themselves and they can develop really quickly. And the last piece that I would place a bet on is how do bots and how do automation start to play a role in people's personal lives? We usually talk about the workplace when it comes to automation, I know that for me, my life and my personal life is more and more about digital things that I need to remember to do and people reaching out and interacting with me. I'm curious to see how this space starts to evolve in your personal life as well. Yeah, so outside of operational efficiencies, how do we measure success in our program? So, like everybody, we've got the core business metrics where we measure. But the one piece that we really focus on is that customer experience is our net promoter score. And our net promoter score is our champions or people who want to do repeat business with us versus our people who, maybe just had a lukewarm or not such a great experience. And so right now we've been running at a little over 90%. So we're really happy with the number of customers who want to keep working with us. But it's also something that we can constantly learn from. Even if we're scoring, and coming out with a champion, there's going to be something that we can apply to the next iteration of our program. So we've been focusing our automation efforts in a few key areas. The first key area that we've been focusing on is in our customer onboarding experience. So this applies to every one of our business units. Every one of our business units relies on bringing on new customers. And that's always been an area where we want to be adding new capabilities. The customer expectations are changing. And so in order to stay on top of that and help our teams out a lot, we've been adding automation in there to make the products more efficient, but ultimately to result in a better customer experience as well. The second area that we've been focused on a lot is our claims area. So claims in the insurance space, you have high volume, and you also have, you can see, ups and downs from week to week on how many claims you're going to need to process. And so we've been able to put a lot of automation and bots in that space as well. The last area that we've been focusing on is enabling our teams ourselves through the Citizen Developer Program. And so we've just recently wrapped up a pilot with 6 of our business areas that proved out to be very successful from a citizen developer standpoint. And we're getting ready to roll that out to the rest of the enterprise, just so that we can enable the business to make their own prioritizations and build their own automations as they deem necessary. So the top AI and machine learning opportunities that we see in automation that we're going to explore are within the chatbot space. And so this is something that's kind of been, this desire of ours, but not really achievable, but we're going after it. And then the next thing is in the intelligent document extraction space. So, for customers that want a digital experience, you're set up for automation already. For your customers that want to keep giving you that information in an unstructured manner, being able to extract that data and do something with it is becoming more and more critical. And the capabilities in this space have been improving drastically. And I think that's an opportunity for us in the future. So 5 years ago, our company set out with our profitable growth initiative. And with that, we had 3 pillars. So the first pillar was lean process improvement. The next pillar was outsourcing. And the last pillar of that was automation. And for all of these, we said, hey, we want to have an enterprise center of excellence to ensure that we're taking advantage of best practices, we're staying on top of new capabilities, but we're also building scale at the enterprise level. If we fast forward a couple of years ago, we ended up creating the Business Transformation Office because we felt that one solution or one opportunity likely has multiple solutions that can be applied to it, and we wanted to be having a more holistic thinking applied to it. And so now in 2022, we have critical goals around delivery within the space as well that we're tracking all the way up to our management committee level. Currently today, we are developing all of our automations on-prem. And that was a decision that we made just kind of from a security, safety, let's start out with this, from a standpoint. However, we are currently analyzing what it would look like to move to the cloud and excited to see where that goes in the coming months and years.